The little girl couldn't have been more than 6 when she looked up at me with tear-filled blue eyes, wrapped both hands around mine, and whispered the words that changed my life forever. "Will you be my new mom?" The question hit me so hard I forgot where I was. The grocery store around us disappeared. The shopping carts, the chatter, the music playing through the speakers, it all faded into silence. Standing a few feet away, her father looked just as stunned as I was. His face turned bright red with embarrassment as he hurried toward us. "Lily," he said gently, kneeling beside her. "Sweetheart, you can't ask strangers something like that." "But Daddy," she said with heartbreaking innocence. "You said moms are supposed to be kind." "She's kind." I had only helped her reach a cereal box from the top shelf. That was all. I smiled awkwardly, unsure what to say. "It's okay," I told him. "Kids say unexpected things." He rubbed the back of his neck. "I'm so sorry. She's been through a lot." I nodded politely before pushing my cart away, assuming that would be the last time I'd ever see either of them. I couldn't have been more wrong. At 34, I had accepted that life rarely turned out the way people imagined. I was a pediatric nurse in Seattle, living alone with an old golden retriever named Murphy. 5 years earlier, I had lost my fiancée in a car accident just 3 months before our wedding. After that, I stopped making long-term plans. Work became my safe place. Helping sick children gave purpose to days that otherwise felt painfully empty. Friends constantly tried to set me up on dates, but I always found an excuse. My heart wasn't closed. It was simply tired. 3 weeks after the grocery store incident, I volunteered at the children's reading corner in our local library. Halfway through reading Charlotte's Web, I noticed a familiar little face sitting cross-legged in the front row. Lily. The moment she recognized me, her entire face lit up. "Daddy!" She shouted toward the back of the room. "It's the cereal lady." Every parent laughed. A tall man stood near the bookshelves and offered me an apologetic smile. After story time ended, Lily ran over before he could stop her. "I knew we'd find you again." Her father caught up moments later. "I'm Ethan," he said, extending his hand. "And apparently you're famous in our house." "I'm Emma." He smiled for the first time. It transformed his entire face. "I'm still sorry about what happened at the grocery store." "You don't need to apologize. Lily talks about you more than she'd probably admit." Lily proudly interrupted. "I prayed to see you again." Neither of us knew how to respond to that. Over the next few months, coincidence kept bringing us together. The same Saturday farmers market. The same community fundraiser. The same neighborhood park where Murphy loved chasing tennis balls. Eventually Ethan admitted something. "I don't actually believe these are coincidences anymore." I laughed. "Neither do I. Friendship happened naturally." He never flirted. Never pushed. Never tried to impress me. He was simply kind. Kind in the quiet ways that mattered. He remembered the names of elderly neighbors. He shoveled snow from sidewalks that weren't his. He always carried extra snacks because he knew someone else's child might forget theirs. Watching him with Lily was even more beautiful. Every morning he braided her hair by watching YouTube tutorials. The braids weren't perfect. Neither were the pancakes he made every Sunday. But Lily thought her dad could do anything. One rainy evening, after we'd shared dinner together, Lily fell asleep on the couch with Murphy curled beside her. Ethan covered her with a blanket before sitting across from me. "Can I tell you something?" "Of course." "My wife, Sarah, died from breast cancer 2 years ago." His voice barely rose above a whisper. "Lily remembers pieces of her. Mostly bedtime songs." He looked toward his sleeping daughter. "I've spent every day terrified she'll forget her mom." "You won't let that happen." "I hope not." He smiled sadly. "She started asking if heaven has birthdays." I felt tears filling my eyes. "How do you answer something like that?" "You tell the truth." I told her I didn't know. But I hoped heaven celebrated everything worth celebrating. He laughed softly. Sarah would have answered better. Months turned into a year. Without realizing it, we became part of each other's routines. Movie nights. School concerts. Holiday dinners. Hospital fundraisers. Lily stopped introducing me as the cereal lady. Now I was simply Miss Emma. One afternoon she proudly handed me a drawing she'd made at school. 3 stick figures held hands beneath a bright yellow sun. One had brown hair like Ethan. One had blonde hair like Lily. The third had curly dark hair like mine. Above us she'd written in careful first-grade handwriting, "My family." I wasn't sure whether to smile or cry. Ethan saw it too. We exchanged a silent look neither of us was ready to explain. A few weeks later, Lily's teacher called. There had been a Mother's Day classroom activity. Every child made a card. Lily made 2. One for her mommy in heaven. One for me. Inside she had written, "Thank you for loving us." I cried the entire drive home. Not because I felt pressure. Because I felt honored. Still, I kept my distance emotionally. I loved them. I knew I did. But love had once left me shattered. Fear has a way of convincing you that protecting your heart is safer than opening it again. Then life reminded me that tomorrow isn't guaranteed. During a family camping trip, Lily wandered after a butterfly while Ethan unpacked the car. By the time we noticed, she had disappeared into the woods. Those 23 minutes felt longer than my entire life. Search teams arrived. Neighbors spread through the trails. Ethan's hands shook so badly he couldn't even hold his phone. "I can't lose her too," he whispered. His voice broke completely. "I can't." Finally, a volunteer shouted from deeper in the trees. We found her. She had slipped into a shallow ravine and twisted her ankle. She wasn't seriously hurt. But watching Ethan collapse to his knees while holding her changed something inside me forever. Love isn't measured by grand speeches. It's measured by moments like that. Moments when another person's pain becomes your own. That night, after Lily fell asleep safely between us in the cabin, Ethan sat outside beneath the stars. "I've been trying not to fall in love with you." I looked at him quietly. "Why?" "Because I was afraid you'd leave." I laughed through tears. "I've been afraid you'd ask me to stay." He reached for my hand. Neither of us let go. 6 months later, he proposed during one of Lily's soccer games. No expensive restaurant. No fireworks. Just a simple ring, trembling hands, and one honest sentence. "I don't want a perfect life." He smiled. "I just want ours." Before I could answer, Lily sprinted across the field. "Were you asking?" Ethan laughed. "I was." She grabbed both our hands. "Say yes." I looked at the little girl who had unknowingly introduced us with one impossible question. Then I looked at the men who had taught me that grief and joy could exist in the same heart. "Yes," I whispered. The wedding was small. Family. Friends. Hospital co-workers. Library volunteers. The grocery store cashier who remembered our first meeting somehow even attended. During the reception, Lily tapped a spoon against her glass. "I have something to say." Everyone fell silent. She climbed onto a chair. When I asked Emma to be my new mom, everyone thought I was being silly. The room laughed gently. But I wasn't. She looked at me with the same hopeful eyes I'd seen in the grocery store years before. I wasn't looking for someone to replace my first mommy. She placed one tiny hand over her heart. "Nobody can." Then she took my hand. I just knew hearts can make room for more than one person. Not a single dry eye remained in the room. Later that evening, after guests had gone home, Lily fell asleep between Ethan and me while watching old family videos. Some featured Sarah laughing on a beach. Others showed baby Lily taking her first steps. We watched them together. We laughed. We cried. We remembered. Because love isn't about replacing the people we've lost. It's about honoring them by continuing to love. Today Lily is 12. She still celebrates her first mom's birthday every year. We bake Sarah's favorite chocolate cake. We tell stories. We look through photographs. And every year, before blowing out the candles, Lily hugs me tightly and says the same thing. Thank you for saying yes. The truth is, she never really gave me a choice. She unknowingly rescued 3 hearts instead of 1. Sometimes the family you're meant to have doesn't begin with romance. Sometimes it begins with a single act of kindness. A box of cereal on the top shelf. And one innocent question that changes every life it touches forever.